Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to another fine episode of Hearthstone. We're opening packs as we always do. Always great to see what new cards we get. So, without further ado, I suppose let's crack on and get opening some packs here. So we've got our first one here, and we can just drop it down and watch as it pops open. So we, as always, start at the top here. I would go the other direction, but I always end up getting confused, so let's just stick with this. So let's have a look. This is a new card. Shatter. Destroy a frozen minion. I'm guessing that's not the Disney film. So frozen is an effect that, to be fair, the vast majority of mages can do. They have a lot of cards that freeze. It basically just makes you unable to use a minion for one turn. So you can kind of combo that with a couple of different freeze effects, I suppose. To do that, I suppose you will need to have the minion frozen to start with, but freeze mages definitely would actually see this card in play, as they'll often use a lot of AoE, like such as Blizzard and stuff like that, which allow them to break stuff down. So that's definitely a pretty good card for freeze mages. It's a new one as well. So we'll jump over here and let's have a look. It is a Light in the Darkness. Now we've seen this a few times already. Discover a minion, give it +1/+1. I think I've maybe actually tried this. I didn't see a huge amount of value from it. I said, if you're playing it late on, you might end up only getting discover, 3 smaller cost minions. You might end up with some bigger minions. It's difficult to really tell. At the 2 mana mark, you get quite a few effective, 3 2s and 2 3s that you can actually use as minions anyway, and you know what you're going to be getting. So, is it good? It's okay. Would I be using it? Probably not. So, we can move down to our third card from this series, or this pack episode, and we get the Dark Arakoa. We're seeing quite a few of these. I think it might actually be the most common card we've seen with Dark Arakoa so far. 6 mana for a 5/7 with taunt, that's fairly solid. But even better, the battle cry +3/+3. So dropping this, fairly good chance that your Kickoff is going to be ready to rock and roll fairly soon afterwards. He's a solid card. Maybe a bit slow to get going. It wouldn't kind of say that, say a 4/6 for 5 might end up being a little bit better. Although maybe it's a bit too much power creep, so it's not a bad card. Definitely you're getting your value there. So our next one is our rare. So as always, we skip past our rares and we get Stand Against Darkness. So that's a light in the darkness and Stand Against Darkness here. So again, we've seen this card quite a bit. The artwork's not that great, to be fair. I think it's a Tauren Druid, a Tauren Paladin. Summon 5 1/1 Silverhand Recruits. Hopefully you can play that and then keep those 1/1s on the board. It definitely gives you a board presence straight away. You can trade it up with most things here or there as you are. So combined with something like a Knife Juggler, it's pretty good. It's definitely a card I would be using as a Paladin. It lets you just fill your board up, especially if you've suffered some losses. So open up our rare one now, let's see. Evolve. This is actually quite a good card. For 1 mana, you transform your minions into random minions that cost 1 more. So if you're starting to struggle, so for example we kind of put the aggressive game, or you're taking quite a bit of damage and your minions are quite weak, you can drop this out and your minions will basically refresh, and become slightly more powerful. There is always a chance though that you get a card or a minion which has some negative drawbacks if it dies, such as the Dionysus Aspirant, or perhaps even a Doomsayer which will nuke out your whole board. But it's on these ones I think you're sitting there, if you've got board control, it's a win war card, it just makes it even better for you. But if you're starting to slide, you might be able to, and there's not a lot that you can do for existing minions you've got on your board. This will allow you to hopefully regain a bit of room. Definitely a good card, that. And it's a new one. So let's grab pack number 2. Burst it open, avoid all but you, and then move over to pack number 2 and card number 1. So it's the Hooded Acolyte. We've seen this lady a few times already. 4 mana for a 3/6. Allows you to increase your Kickoff each time it's healed. Priests are good. I actually quite enjoy priests, although I do hate the fact that it's an alliance character, it's a priest, and they never bothered with making a horde character for it, so quite disappointed about that. The 4 for 3/6 is a solid enough body. It will trade up against most other, or trade rather, with most other 4 cost minions. If you've got to bash it a few times. 6 health is good, and of course you should be able to start healing it and constantly upgrade it, or healing anything and constantly upgrading your Kickoff. So we'll open our next pack, and it's let's have a look at this. So Polluted Hoarder, this is a new one. It's 4 mana for 4/2, Death Rattle, draw a card. So that's a natural upgrade to the Loot Hoarder. Now Loot Hoarder is 2 mana, 2/1, Death Rattle, draw a card. Here we're getting 4 for 4/2, Death Rattle, draw a card. It's good. 1 more mana though, you're getting a 4/4. With Battle Cry, draw a card. That's the Azure Drake, so you also get for 4 mana the Gnomish Inventor, 4 mana, and that's a 2/4 with Battle Cry, draw a card. So can't say that's overly brilliant. Obviously the 4 attack on it makes it quite an aggressive minion you want your enemy to get rid of, or will be priority, so you're always going to pretty much be drawing that card. So it's I'm not sure I would see it. I'd rather have the Kickoff's Chosen, which is with 4/4/2 with Divine Shield. Okay, so we're recognising that orange colour, so we'll quickly just jump past it, and we get our favourite here, the Dark Arcoa. We don't need to go into details about this. I'm sure you recognise it from the last pack about 5 minutes ago. So let's just jump over and open our next one. This is the Nerubian Prophet. At the start of your turn, reduce this card's cost by 1. 6 mana, 4/4. Again, I still haven't found out whether that cost is, if that is active either in your hand, in your deck, or only in play. I'm guessing it's in your hand, but if it's actually in hand, but if it's in your deck and it's actually constantly reducing, that's quite handy. So let's move around. Do we go in through the top or bottom rather? Do we go through the right side, down at the top, through the left? I think we'll go in through the top, move it down over that orange glow. So there's a number of cards. We've had one fairly disappointing legendary in Nate the Dark Fisher. I've heard there's another really disappointing one known as the Boogie Monster, so crossing fingers it won't be him. or her, or it. Maybe it'll be one of the other old ones, such as Yasharj or Yogg-Saron. Can't remember their names now. Any thoughts? Will it be a class legendary, so one for rogues or druids? Let's turn it over and find out. We get Fandral Staghelm. Druid legendary, 3/5 for only 4 mana, so that's quite good. You choose 1 cards, have both effects combined. That's good. So what you have is very often druid cards you can have. So the Druid of a Claw, you choose one. It's either a 4/4 with charge or a 4/6 with taunt. I'm going to guess this would make it a 4/6 with charge and taunt. You also get other ones, so you can get a 3/2 with charge and stealth, perhaps. Seem quite odd, but it's definitely a nice card. That I'm going to have a wee look and see what we can do in regards to making a druid deck to make the most of this. You also get ones that let you discover spells and minions. So, I like this card. I think it's quite good. Very happy with this. So, it can only go downhill from here, can't it, guys? Let's open up pack number 3. And we'll turn over. So again, I have used this card before for Warlocks. It is very, very, very good to try it out. And even better, we've got a gold one. And I've actually just noticed the shadows behind are actually occasionally just flickering a little tentacle there. It shows that the councilman's actually corrupted by the old ones as well. Can't remember if the shadow is like that for the original one. We'll have to have a look if we see another one, but I'm very happy to get that. So that's a nice staple card for Warlock decks, which I like using. So we see our Cult of Apothecary. We've not seen this spell for a while. Battle Cry: for each enemy minion, restore 2 health to your hero. 5 or 4/4. Gives you a nice buff of health. It's a solid enough body as well. So we get our rare card. So I think we can just quickly just jump by that one. And open up our next one. So we see the Darkshire Alchemist. Now this restores 5 health. It's 5 mana. So if you look at a direct comparison, this one has a higher ceiling. So potentially you're looking at, 8, 10 health. However, this is, you're guaranteed you're going to get your 5 health, and also has +1 health there. So this is obviously, I think as a priest you'd be playing this, whereas as almost anything else you'd be looking to play with Cult of Apothecary. So either way, it's, I think both cards have their place. And let's have, now this is quite good. So a Twisted Worgen. Now normally the Worgen Infiltrator is it was 1 mana for a 2/1 stealth. This gives you an extra bit of damage there, just for an extra mana. So that's actually a fairly good card to have, especially for aggressive decks. I can see that being a factor. You've got to drop it in. You don't need to worry about it being taken out before it has anything. Obviously your 1 health makes it vulnerable. However, the fact that it's got stealth means it can't be targeted or attacked until you decide to bring it out of stealth, which means, when you attack with it. So let's move over to our rare card. And we can turn it over. And we get an Ancient Shield Bearer. Now either that's our second or it's our third one. It's a very good solid card there for control warriors, especially if they're running Griffon. Obviously you're not going to use it if you don't. definitely around turn 7 onwards you should be getting around 10 attack on your Kafun, and this is going to give you a massive armor buff on top of it. So this is a good solid card. It's not the best body in the world at a 6/6 for 7 mana, but it certainly will take a bit of effort to get rid of. You might need to trade up once or twice to get rid of. So I like that card. It's a good solid card with the addition of the 10 extra armor, hopefully. It's a good way. So I'm quite happy with this pack. Definitely Twisted Organ and the golden Darkshire Councilman. Glad to see getting a few shinies again. So here we go, it's pack number 4. We're going through these quite rapidly, so we've got our next card here. Let's see. The Nerubian Prophet. All things considered, the Nerubian Prophet, we should have seen that one coming, shouldn't we? Again, yeah, we've seen that 6 for 4/4 at the start of your turn, reduces cards cost by 1. You've seen this, you know what it is. I think we know we can move on. Although I'm disappointed that they've not quite got the Nerubian tribe yet, as there's quite a few Nerubians cards out there already, so we would expect them to have at least added that in at some point. So the top card here is our rare, which means we jump past it. So we go to our uncommon, and we get our second Twisted Worgen. So that's fine, it means we can, you know, get both into a deck now. Quite an interesting card. Worgens are werewolves, I believe, so lots of tentacles, lots of ickiness in that one. We've got our next card here. It's also an uncommon. I sense a feeling we're getting our Twisted Worgens. So considering it's been 3 in 2 packs, I'm struggling to say anything new about this one. So I think we should probably just move on to our next pack. Or next card even, and that was the Eldritch Horror. So it's an 8 mana for 6/10. We've talked about this guy before. A solid body, but maybe a 7/9 would have been better. While with 10 health means he is going to last. You know, at that 8 mana mark, you really want to have something that's going to impact the board. I mean, you're talking about somebody like Ragnaros for 8 mana. It's only an 8/8, but it's going to do 8 damage to something immediately. So that 8 mana mark tends to be where your 8 and 7 mana mark tends to be where your legendaries rather start coming in. So you prefer to see something actually impacting the board for that mana rather than just a body. It's probably pretty good though for Arena. So if we move over now to our rare, at least we know it's not going to be an Nerubian Prophet, Twisted Worgen, or anything else that we've seen before, like the Dark Arakoa. And we get the Infested Wolf. Let's have a look. So it's 4 mana for a 3/3. That's below stats. However, Death Rattle, summon 2 1/1 spiders. That's quite nice. So you're getting 5/5 worth of stats for a 3/3. That's a beast. I don't know if the spiders will be beasts, but that's a solid card actually. I could see that getting used in quite a lot of decks, just simply for the fact that it does stick and remain on the board. So even if you kill it, you've still got 2 1/1s, which can do just as much, not quite as much damage, but it can possibly ping off and take out a few bits and pieces. So that looks to be a good card actually, Infested Wolf. I can't really remember what's in that 4 mana mark for hunters, but I would assume we would see this in play. Alright guys and girls, so on to our next pack here. In fact, this is our final pack. So we'll open up our first one and let's have a look. It's Shadow Strike. So we've seen this before much earlier on. 3 mana, deals 5 damage to an undamaged character. So again, your enemy hero would need to be on 5 health, 30 health to actually be able to get used to this on, otherwise it's going to be on a standard minion most likely. Is it any good? I'd probably not play it as much as you do, but I'm not very good at rogues, so there's probably something really good with it. Maybe if it was deal 5 damage to an undamaged character, or 5, or combo it and it'd be 5 damage to any character, that might be quite an interesting take on it. So our top one here is a rare, and it's one of our old favourites with Tentacle of N'Zoth. N'Zoth is one of the old gods. You probably picked that one up. He's also one of the legendaries that you can pick up. I think it's actually quite a decent legendary as well. So that's Death Rattle, deal 1 damage to all minions. 1 for 1/1. It is what it is. It should hopefully take out some enemy minions. It might also proc off some buffs of your own if you've got like a warrior. So we'll move on and we'll open up this Psychotron. 5 for 3/4, taunt and divine shield. Below average body, so for 5 mana you're expecting a 4/5, but with taunt and divine shield, yeah, that's going to just make it a slightly more annoying Tron, so to speak. I can't see it being used though at the 5 mana mark. As I say, for 1 extra mana you can get a 4/5, and you're kind of avoiding that bottleneck of that 5 mana group here. You want stuff to start having more of an impact on the board. Divine Shield seems to lose a little bit of impact the later on in the game, so it just kind of makes it that wee bit more, because you get smaller minions that can possibly remove it in other cards as well. So our second to last card here is Fiery Bat. We've seen this guy before. He's the world champion, or at least he was the first Hearthstone world champion we've already talked about. Death Rattle deals 1 damage to a random enemy. That's a pretty good, 1 for 2/1 is standard. Making sure you do 1 damage. It's almost like a leper gnome, except it's 1 damage to random. Actually, I'm saying that leper gnomes have been nerfed down to 1/1s as well, so I think that's a straight upgrade really you see here with Fiery Bat. It's a good card, I think, and I could definitely see hunters using it. So our last one is Natural Factor rare card. So let's turn it over, and we get the incredibly disappointing Sylphid Swarmer. Can only attack if your hero attacked this turn. 3/5 for 3 mana. It's a pointless card unless I'm missing something. I suppose it's there so that not all the time the card that you get through Discover mechanic or a random is going to be great. Sometimes you're going to have to take, well, that's the best one. For druids, as I said, it might be useful, even for hunters, not for hunters, for rogues that can constantly make increased weapons, but overall, Sylphid Swarmer, can't really see it being used much of at all. Unfortunately, I've now also managed to mistake the picture on it. If you look, its eyes are here. I just noticed like a couple of bits of mandibles here. So it now looks like that's its eyes, and that's its very sad mouth. Yep, what has been seen cannot be unseen. But anyway, everybody, thanks very much for joining me in another pack opening. Really happy you got to see another legendary. Hopefully next time we'll see more. Thanks very much everybody for watching. Take care and have a great day now. Bye bye.